You know, I was thinking, when was the last time that we had a must watch television show that the majority of people tuned in to watch that had massive, like, cultural relevance? You know, back when they had the water cooler moment where at work people would get together and, like, chat during their break about the television shows they were watching. I was thinking, when was the last one? Because I honestly can't remember one in the last decade. The one that I remember was Lost, because the hype during its rise was incredible. I mean, what was going on that island? Granted, the finale kind of made everything crash and burn, but I don't want to spoil it because my wife has picked up watching it, and I don't want to tell her anything until she's seen the whole show. But that was something where people talked about it at work, they talked together, they had theories, they just constantly had all these different ideas. And you see, there are new shows that are good. I mean, Cobra Kai was an excellent series from beginning to end, with a little rocky bit there with seasons 2 and 3, but it didn't have the same level of cultural relevance that other shows like Lost did. Even though I highly enjoyed it, it was just maybe a smidgen too goofy for the regular person. But as somebody who watches a lot of, like, Sentai or Tokusatsu, the cheesiness was right up my alley. I liked it. But I could see that being something that held people back from getting into it. The Rings of Power is a new series, but it's really divisive because people who really like the books hate the show. I don't see this one becoming a water cooler moment or anything like that.
Do me a favor and never mention Rings of Power again. That show isn't just trash, it is absolute trash.
Fallout was another show that came out. I think it was relatively well accepted, but it also didn't have the same wide length of cultural relevance that older shows did. There honestly hasn't been that many good shows that has come out. There might be something that has a little pop, a little buzz, but when you compare it to older shows, they just don't have it. Breaking Bad was a show that I personally didn't get into, mainly because its theme was not really one that I cared for, but I do know that it was incredibly popular and many people love it. And it's just one of those things where I'm kind of like, but I can see how this one could have been that, but even still, that was 8 years ago when it ended? I'm not entirely certain, but it's an older show. What it most likely is that there are too many streaming services, too many different avenues to watch. Whereas back when it was linear television, there weren't as many channels, so people would sit and watch the same shows because there wasn't as big of a selection. Now that there are all these different streaming services and all these different shows being made specifically for these streaming services, it's very likely that it's not doing themselves any favors, because the audience being split means there's less people watching, less people talking about it. Even though we are more online now than we've ever been, I think that it's basically they destroyed their own systems. At the beginning of this year, I started watching the WWE on Netflix, and then I found out that SmackDown's on linear television, the Saturday specials are on Peacock, and NXT's on something else as well. And then there's also WWE Speed or something. And I'm just like, there's too many shows, too many different channels. There's no way you can follow all those storylines unless you literally have every single program and you're paying attention to every little thing. So that's something that made me go, huh. And I feel like that's the same sort of problem that's facing all these streaming services. There's too much in too many different places, so nobody can just consolidate to one area. Therefore, there's no actual must-see TV anymore because it's way too spread out. And it makes me sad because sometimes there's really good shows that just completely fall off to the wayside because they don't have any audience, because the audience is too split between everywhere. So do you have anything that's a must-watch show? Because right now I'm kind of bouncing between watching a couple different things, but nothing's really standing out. Now that I finished Cobra Kai, I'm kind of just listless for right now. So if you got any ideas, comment them down below.